I have no intention of taking care of Grandma. I don't even want to see her face. Why don't you do it, Lily? My sister-in-law said with a malicious grin. She probably thought that if she could take control of the house, she wouldn't have to worry about Grandma at all. My brother smirked beside her, glancing at me and Grandma. I could see it would be hard for Grandma to find peace in such an environment. It's okay, Grandma. I'm here for you, I said confidently. My name is Amy. I've just turned 50 and am now enjoying a slow-paced life with my husband. Our 2 children have grown up and are following their own paths. The days when I juggled work and family while they were little seem like distant, tender memories now. Today, my life revolves around my work with my husband and the time I spend with my grandmother. My husband, Terry, and I run a well-known traditional restaurant. I manage the business as the owner, while Terry, a skilled chef, supports the establishment with his culinary expertise. I chose this path because I studied business in college and was fascinated by restaurant management. Initially, I wanted to cook for our guests, but things didn't go as planned, and I quickly shifted focus. During college, I started a kitchen job at a luxury hotel near the university, but my cooking skills were lacking. A senior coworker told me I couldn't even peel vegetables properly, so I was reassigned to serving. Although it was a blow, it's now a funny memory we laugh about. Whenever I faced challenges, I turned to my grandmother. She would listen quietly until I finished, then look me in the eye and say, "Amy, I know your dreams and hopes, but life isn't always a straight path. There are detours and bends, and each of these experiences helps you grow. Go at your own pace and stay strong." Her words were a comforting balm. Thank you, Grandma. No matter how small the step, I'll keep moving forward, I'd say, always buoyed by her gentle encouragement. Having lost my parents early on, she was my greatest comfort and cherished treasure. In the midst of all this, I met my husband, Terry. He was a chef at the hotel where I worked part-time, having mastered cooking over the years. Knowing about my passion for cooking, he approached me and said, "I'm still learning myself, but I'll teach you everything I know if you're interested." I was thrilled and eagerly accepted. From there, we started with the basics, cooking together at each other's homes. The hotel's kitchen was often occupied, so we practiced at home, creating our own private cooking class. As we cooked and stirred pots together, our relationship grew deeper. Before long, we were seriously dating, and after a few years, we got married. Even after marriage, Terry continued to pursue his passion at the hotel kitchen, while I joined a startup, overseeing several restaurants to understand the practical aspects of business management. The theories I learned in university and real-world experience were worlds apart. Despite the challenges, I gradually got the hang of managing a business. With the support of my company, we were given the opportunity to run the upscale traditional restaurant we had always dreamed of. I took on the role of manager, setting up the restaurant and inviting Terry to lead the kitchen. After completing his training, he was eager for a new challenge and happily accepted. Together, we nurtured and grew our restaurant. But my deep involvement in work meant I regrettably spent less time with my dear grandmother. Now, Grandma lives with my brother Colin. He's a serious office worker with a somewhat troublesome personality. When I excitedly told him about my new role as manager through a company program, his reaction was unexpectedly cold. "Wait, are you seriously taking such a risk? Wouldn't it be more secure to remain a regular employee? Besides, managers hired like that don't earn much, do they?" he asked with a skeptical look. "Colin, isn't that a bit harsh?" I tried to counter, but his stance was firm. "Amy, listen closely. Stability is the most important thing. Why are you so intent on doing as you please? Not just you, but your husband too. Don't you realize how tough it is to run a business? What will you do if you fail?" His words left me taken aback. Sure, running a business might be hard, but we had the support of the company. It wasn't entirely on us. Then, with a somewhat malicious grin, my brother's wife, Lily, chimed in. "You two are quite daring, aren't you? But if things go south, don't come running to us for help." Her comment made me silently vow never to rely on them, no matter what. The reason my beloved grandmother ended up with such a mean sister-in-law began when my brother and his wife suddenly moved in. I discovered this during one of my visits. When I rang the doorbell, Lily answered, looking surprised. "Oh, Amy, what are you doing here?" she asked. I was taken aback and blurted out, "Lily, why are you at Grandma's?" Taking a deep breath, Lily smiled and said, "Well, I'll let you in on a secret. Recently, I've been taking care of Grandma here. I wanted to spend more quality time with her, so we decided to move in. She seemed quite proud of herself. Admittedly, with a new restaurant and everything else, I had been too absorbed to notice the change. I had been extremely busy lately, which left me with less time for Grandma. With Lily spending more time at home, she had probably been looking out for her. "Thank you, Lily. It's really a big help," I said, though a pang of sadness hit me at the thought of missing time with my grandmother. When I dropped by Grandma's house, Lily often greeted me with a hint of sarcasm. "Oh, Amy, you're here again. Think Grandma's quite busy, you know. But then, this is Grandma's house," she remarked. I would respond with a smile. "Sorry, I just wanted to chat with Grandma." Visiting Grandma's house every weekend was my joy. She always welcomed me with a warm smile, but lately, I had noticed she wasn't her usual energetic self. I tried to brush it off as my imagination, but one day my fears became a reality. When I knocked on Grandma's door and received no answer, I gently opened it to find her collapse at the entrance. In shock, I rushed to her side, shouting, "Grandma, are you okay?" I immediately called an ambulance and she was taken to the hospital. I accompanied her, and before I knew it, night had fallen. After some time, a doctor called me in to discuss her condition. He began with the ominous words, "She doesn't have much time left." I was devastated and struggled to process the news, but I understood that Grandma was gravely ill. It turned out that this was her regular hospital, and the doctor explained that her condition was beyond surgical intervention. It was best for her to rest at home. While absorbing this news, I received word that Grandma had regained consciousness. I hurried to her room, where she greeted me with a weak smile. "Amy, I'm sorry for surprising you," she said, her voice faint but warm. Through my tears, I asked, "Why didn't you tell me earlier, Grandma?" She replied softly, "I didn't want to worry anyone." At that moment, I felt the profound depth of Grandma's strength and kindness. I decided to cherish the time we had left and spend more quality moments with Grandma. "How about we tell everyone about your illness?" I gently suggested to her. She seemed a bit surprised by the idea but agreed. I hoped my brother and his wife would appreciate the chance to be with Grandma in her remaining days. A few days later, Grandma was discharged from the hospital. However, this didn't signify improvement. She was sent home because there were no more treatment options available. When we arrived at Grandma's house, my brother and Lily were lounging in the living room, their expressions relaxed. Lily, with a cheerful tone, remarked, "Where have you been? It's been so relaxing here while Grandma was away." My brother chuckled and added, "It's been refreshing to have some peace and quiet without Grandma's voice around." I was taken aback by their comments. One look at Grandma, and it was clear how serious her condition was. Trying to keep my emotions in check, I said, "Stop with the jokes. Grandma's condition is very serious. They can't treat her at the hospital anymore." Both my brother and Lily looked stunned. My brother, clearly in disbelief, asked, "You're joking, right?" Lily seemed to dismiss my words with indifference. Taking a deep breath, I told them firmly, "It's true. If you don't believe me, you can ask Grandma's primary doctor directly." With a frail voice, Grandma added, "Actually, I don't have much time left. There's not much I can do from now on." Lily's eyes widened in surprise. "Wait, I didn't sign up to be a caregiver. I'm just living here to save on rent. I can't handle such a huge responsibility," she said, her voice tinged with annoyance. I was incredulous at her words. Grandma's eyes filled with deep sadness as she whispered to herself, "So I'm a burden now." It was clear that Lily and my brother were only concerned with their own comfort, disregarding Grandma's feelings. Holding Grandma's hand, I comforted her. "It's okay, Grandma. I'm here for you. This is your house, and we should prioritize your well-being." I told Lily firmly, but she remained stubborn, showing no sign of changing her mind. "I'm sorry, Amy," Lily finally said, though it was clear she wasn't truly remorseful. I was taken aback by their attitudes. Grandma, wiping away her tears, apologized, and I felt a deep urge to protect her. Lily's gaze was filled with annoyance, as if dealing with us was a burden. "Can you just leave? Honestly, I get distracted with you guys around. Don't come asking for help later because I won't be inclined to assist," she said, her tone sharp. "Seriously, just thinking about Grandma gives me a headache." "Don't try to shift the responsibility onto us," my brother added, glancing at Grandma with evident irritation. It was clear that the inconvenience was on their side. Yet, as soon as they learned about Grandma's condition, their only thought was to get rid of her. Their attitude filled me with a heavy sadness. We won't be speaking to Lily or you anymore. Our family relationship ends here. If anything happens later, don't rely on us, Grandma said, her voice trembling and her eyes misty. I won't come to this house anymore. Goodbye. Great, even if Amy gets into trouble somewhere, we won't be involved. My brother smirked. If Amy is in trouble, it's none of our concern. Do your best with Grandma, Lily said with a dismissive wave. With that, Grandma and I left the house. I decided to take her to my place in a taxi and start a new chapter together. As the taxi door opened, Grandma's eyes widened in surprise. Oh, what a magnificent house, she exclaimed, clearly impressed. Indeed, our home was larger and more glamorous than where Grandma had been living. The company we work for is unique. In addition to our regular wages, we receive bonuses based on the restaurant's revenue. This generous system was designed to motivate employees, providing us with a stable and comfortable lifestyle. As I was lost in thought, the front door opened gently to reveal Terry with a warm smile. Welcome back. I've been waiting, he greeted cheerfully. I had texted Terry about Grandma's arrival, and he had thoughtfully prepared tea for us. After such a long time, Grandma was delighted to see Terry again, her face lighting up with a warm smile. I led her into the living room and served her some of the comforting tea. As she sipped it, she looked visibly relieved and took a deep breath, saying, "This place feels like somewhere I can comfortably spend my remaining days. At the other house, I felt like I was just in the way." Her words carried a hint of sadness, and I could sense the coldness she had experienced from Lily and my brother. My shock grew when I learned that Lily had been taking Grandma's pension money without permission. Could Lily really do that? I muttered under my breath, and Terry, equally shocked, said, "I can't believe it. We can't let this go." I felt the same way. "We should give them a taste of their own medicine," Terry said passionately. I nodded in agreement. "Yes, let's take some action." A few days later, I received several calls from my brother. After waiting a while, I answered to find Lily's angry voice on the other end. "Hello? Why the constant calls?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "It's about Grandma's house. We've been asked to leave suddenly." "This is your doing, isn't it?" Lily shot back. Trying to hide my amusement, I replied, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Her distress was evident as she said, "Wait, why would she do that suddenly? Did you and Terry plan this?" "No, we didn't do anything," I said calmly. "Grandma decided to sell the house because it was in her name all along. We were surprised too, but she simply wanted to move on. The sale has already been finalized and there's a new owner. Staying there longer might cause issues." Lily's voice was filled with a mix of shock and confusion. "Do you think Grandma really understands what's going on? Did you guys offer her some sort of sweet deal?" "No, we didn't do anything of the sort," I assured her. "Grandma just wanted a fresh start. Terry spoke with the real estate agency right away, and Grandma agreed to the sale because she didn't want to deal with you and Colin anymore." As I spoke, I felt a sense of satisfaction. "Let's find a new path and build our lives separately," I added, ready to move forward and leave the past behind. I ignored Lily's frustration and tried to stay positive. "Where are we supposed to live now?" "Our previous flat is gone." Lily's voice quivered with anger. From what I gathered from Grandma, Lily had a penchant for shopping, always flaunting the latest designer bags and frequenting beauty spas and salons nearly every week. My brother's income, on the other hand, wasn't particularly high, and with their old debts, their financial situation must be quite strained. Despite their challenges, my brother seemed infatuated with Lily's beauty and probably indulged her every whim, which is why they had moved into Grandma's house to save on expenses. To be honest, I wasn't overly concerned about their situation, so I playfully suggested, "Why not try staying in a motel for a while?" "Oh, but it might be tough if you're short on money." Lily paused, then replied in surprise, "Why are you talking about our financial situation?" I didn't get any response from my brother at that moment. Later, Grandma took the phone and, smiling, said, "Actually, I told Amy everything. And by the way, Amy's house is really nice, spacious with the latest appliances and very comfortable. It's completely different from what you're used to." My brother seemed intrigued by Grandma's words. When he took the phone, he asked, "Why are you guys so rich? I thought you were struggling financially." "It might surprise you, but aside from our regular salaries, we also receive a substantial bonus. Roughly speaking, we probably earn about twice what you make in a month. Both of us work hard and live comfortably," I said with a hint of pride. He was silent for a moment, clearly taken aback. Seriously? Yes, I confirmed. You always said full-time employment is the best, but maybe you should broaden your horizons. We seem to be managing quite well with our approach. I advised them coolly, you need to sort things out on your own without relying on us. Lily's sweet voice then surprised me with a request. Hey Amy, could we visit your place, just your brother and me, even if it's just for a short while? Taken aback by her proposal, I firmly replied, no, I've already told you that we're done. Figure things out on your own. They tried calling me several times afterward, but I had nothing to discuss and chose not to answer. I decided they were no longer part of my life. Soon after, I received unexpected news. My brother and Lily had been arrested for shoplifting from a small store. From the police, I learned about Lily's enormous debts, which far exceeded what my brother's salary could cover. She had even been siphoning money from Grandma's pension. Debt collectors had gone to my brother's workplace, which forced him to leave his job. Their financial situation deteriorated rapidly, and they were reduced to stealing donuts and sandwiches to eat. The police informed me that, during their arrest, both my brother and Lily had pleaded with them to reach out to me. My brother said, I know we've done wrong, but please help us. Lily tearfully begged, forgive our past mistakes and help us just this once. Despite their pleas, I couldn't easily forgive them. Their reckless spending and neglect of Grandma had led to serious consequences. I believed they were now facing the outcomes of their own decisions. Months have passed since then, but my feelings remain unchanged. Grandma is still lively and enjoys each day, which brings me comfort. I've taken time off work to spend quality moments with her, and I'm grateful that my company is supportive during times like these. Though Grandma occasionally feels unwell, we find joy in our walks through the garden and in our conversations about the flowers. These moments are precious to me. Grandma, your birthday is coming up. Is there anything special you'd like to eat? I asked with a smile. She replied, I'd love a sandwich made by you. Although my cooking isn't exceptional, her kind request touched me deeply. I still have many places to show her, foods to taste together, and stories to share. I cherish every heartwarming moment with her and strive to make her smile as much as possible while she's feeling better.
So, you already have the divorce papers ready. Are you trying to scare me? You know I'm ready for this at any time. You better calm down and think about what you just said. With that, my husband Jackson got up and went into his room. My name is Kama, and I'm a 28-year-old office worker. I got married a year ago to a man named Jackson. We met on a blind date, and after dating for a year and a half, he proposed to me. Although I thought we got married a bit too soon, I'd always wanted to be married and have children before turning 30, so I accepted his proposal. However, I later realized I should have been more cautious. The first surprise came when Jackson changed his job as soon as we got married. Out of the blue, he said he was changing jobs. Why all of a sudden? I asked him. He replied, because I can't show my full potential there. I was taken aback, especially when he told me he had already submitted his resignation and would leave at the end of the month. He managed to get a new job, but the salary was lower than his previous one. I thought it was fine since I was also working, but then Jackson started asking me to quit my job. I would have been okay with quitting if his income could support us both. However, as I mentioned, he had just changed jobs and his salary was now lower. Jackson insisted that his salary would increase soon, but we had no idea when that would be. If I quit my job now, we wouldn't be able to save any money and would struggle to cover expenses like rent and car payments. In short, we couldn't manage on Jackson's salary alone. I told Jackson, I won't quit my job until your salary goes up. Jackson seemed to agree, but he kept asking me to quit. Every time I gave him the same answer. Now we've been married for a year and Jackson's salary still hasn't increased. He keeps asking, when are you going to quit? I'm tempted to sarcastically say, now, and then tell him I'm just kidding because I can't quit yet. If he wants me to quit so badly, he should earn more money. I feel like he should focus on his work instead of persistently asking me to quit. I wondered why Jackson wants me to quit my job so badly, and I finally figured it out. It seems Jackson wants me to take care of his mother, Helen. Whenever we visited my in-laws' house, Jackson would say to Helen, I just want to make things easier for you, Mom. Helen would graciously thank him, and then Jackson would add, but we're both working, giving me a meaningful look. It was as if he was subtly pushing me to quit my job. Jackson claims his mother needs assistance, but Helen isn't sick or in need of care. She's healthy and quite active. In fact, she earns enough from her part-time job to support her hobbies, social outings, and live a fulfilling life. Realistically, she doesn't require my help at all. If I were in Helen's shoes, I'd feel disheartened to be seen as needing care when I'm perfectly capable. But Jackson continues to insist that I take care of Helen. Oh, if only one of us were home during the day, we could go check on Mom every day, Jackson suddenly voiced his thoughts. It seemed he wanted me to visit my in-laws' house daily, and hearing this was exhausting. I persisted in questioning my husband. Helen is perfectly healthy, so what exactly do you expect me to do? Jackson responded matter-of-factly, there are plenty of things you could do. You could help with housework or run errands. There's a lot to assist her with. But Helen works part-time and spends time with her friends during the day, so she's not home much, right? I countered. Even if Mom isn't home, you could still handle the housework, couldn't you? Jackson's words left me baffled. What is he saying? Am I supposed to be her maid? I thought to myself. Jackson seems to be very concerned about appearances, especially in front of his parents. If he's so determined to care for them, he should handle the household chores himself. I wasn't interested in indulging Jackson's pride, so I didn't quit my job and avoided visiting my in-laws on my days off. However, I did make sure to visit them during holidays like New Year's. Thinking back, Jackson often assigned me tasks whenever we visited my in-laws together. He'd ask me to clean up, assist his mom, check if anything was needed from the store, and so on. But I never acted on these requests. When he asked me to go to the store, I'd respond with, "Don't you know more about this area than I do?" He'd then say, "It wouldn't make sense if I did it." I didn't really understand his reasoning. It seemed like he just wanted to control me and feel good about taking care of his parents, didn't it? Over time, that's how I started to view Jackson. Could it be that he's more concerned with appearances than genuinely caring for me? When I boldly asked him, "Why don't you pitch in or quit your job to care for your own mother?" he appeared extremely uncomfortable and had a disgusted expression on his face. "That's not something I'm supposed to do. I'm giving you these instructions so that my mom will think that you are a considerate, useful wife. I hope you realize how kind I am to you," he said. In other words, he wants to dump all the difficult tasks on his wife and show off how good he is as if it's something remarkable. Well, I'm not his servant or slave, and I don't deserve to be treated disrespectfully in front of my in-laws. If Jackson continues making unreasonable demands, I won't stay silent. I'll stand up for myself. But despite talking to him, Jackson hasn't changed. He still asks, "Are you going to quit your job?" And whenever we visit my in-laws, he orders me around just like before. I had enough and decided it was time to discuss it with him seriously. "I think we need to talk about our future," I said. "What are you even trying to say?" Jackson replied, sounding annoyed. "I'm honestly fed up. I'm tired of you constantly asking me when I'll quit my job and exhausted from you pressuring me to take care of Helen," I explained. "Why are you fed up with that? You're my wife and it's your duty to care for your husband's parents," Jackson said. "Don't you think that's a huge responsibility for me? Shouldn't you, as their biological child, be responsible for helping with the housework and taking care of your own parents in the first place?" I asked. "No way, it's the wife's duty to do it. Are you the kind of person who doesn't care about family?" "I'm really disappointed to hear you say that," Jackson responded. "Then let me ask you this, how have you been taking care of my parents?" "If I asked you to care for my parents, would you do it then?" I questioned. Jackson stared at me blankly. "What are you saying? Why should a husband take care of his wife's parents? So does that mean you won't take care of my parents now or ever?" I pressed. "The husband's parents and wife's parents are completely different," Jackson replied. "What difference does that make, anyway? I don't get it," I said, feeling frustrated. "I didn't realize you were so clueless. It's like talking to my old boss," I continued. "What are you saying?" Jackson asked, confused. "I'm saying the husband's parents should come first. You should take care of your wife's parents," I clarified. "What?" I exclaimed. "So you only prioritize your own blood-related family? I'm so disappointed in you. I won't be visiting your parents anymore." "Huh, why would you do that? Enough is enough. I'm the one who wants you to stop this nonsense," I retorted. "No way, how dare you talk back like that? My mom is right," Jackson shot back. "Huh, Mom was talking about you. She said you're a badly behaved wife. That's why she gave me this." With that, Jackson pulled out a piece of paper from his bag. It was divorce papers. "What? You already had divorce papers ready?" I was shocked, but Jackson seemed strangely proud. "See? I scared you, didn't I? I'm prepared for this anytime, so think about what you just said," Jackson declared smugly before leaving for his room. Unbelievable. Why is Jackson so selfish? That look of triumph on his face. It's clear the divorce papers are a threat to make me obey him. The fact that Helen was involved made me even more suspicious. Jackson is acting like a puppet for his mom, trying to control me while following her orders. It's ridiculous. I won't let Jackson have his way. How can he not see our marriage is in trouble when he acts like this? His lack of understanding just annoys me more. Jackson had already completed the divorce papers and handed them to meet with witnesses, including Helen and his friends. This meant I could sign and file them whenever I chose. The next day, after Jackson went to work, I filled out the divorce papers and submitted them to the city office. As a precaution, I also filed a notice of non-acceptance of the marriage certificate. I called my parents and explained the situation, knowing Jackson might threaten to file the marriage certificate on his own if he found out. My parents were shocked that I had already prepared the divorce papers but fully supported my decision. Outraged by Jackson's behavior, they offered to help me move my belongings immediately. Taking a leave from work, I had my parents come over and relocate all my things to their house while Jackson was away. I decided to stay with my parents for a while. It was the first time in a long time that I felt truly comfortable and at ease in their home. Reflecting back, Jackson never did his share of housework. I was the one cooking dinner after long work days and handling all the cleaning and laundry on my days off. On top of that, he expected me to care for his parents, which was impossible. That night, Jackson called me, probably just back from work. "Hello? Hey, where are you right now?" "I'm at my parents' house." "Oh, why would you go back there without my permission? And where's all your stuff? Don't tell me you're staying the night." I almost laughed. How could he think I was staying when I had taken most of my belongings with me? It showed his selfishness to even suggest that I move out of the house. "I'm not coming back," I said firmly. "What are you talking about? Come back here and make me some food." "Make it yourself," I replied, ending the call. I couldn't discuss divorce with him if he continued to behave this way. I decided to wait for him to come to my parents' house and blocked his number. A week later, Jackson showed up at my parents' house, accompanied by his parents. They all wore serious expressions. I led them into the living room, and we faced each other, 3 against 3. "How could you do this? How could you leave without my permission?" Jackson demanded. "Well, you were treating me like a housekeeper. All I asked you to do was take care of your family," I countered. "That's not true. What kind of wife are you if you don't take care of Jackson?" Helen shot me a fierce glare. My father began to tremble with anger, but I interjected. "Jackson told me to quit my job and care for Helen, saying it was my duty as his wife. Yet, when it comes to my family, he expects me to handle everything alone. Ultimately, Jackson wants obedience and uses me to care for his parents while taking credit for it. That's why he prioritizes his parents over mine." "Have you heard Jackson say these things?" Helen continued to glare, but Carter looked confused, indicating he hadn't heard this before. "Let's clear the air," Jackson said suddenly, bringing up the divorce papers and claiming it was Helen's idea. "Why would you suggest that?" Carter asked, clearly surprised. "Oh no, it's because Camilla has an attitude problem," Helen stammered. "And did you really say that Camilla's parents aren't a priority?" I pressed. "Well, it's only natural that your own parents come first," Helen retorted defensively. "Don't be absurd. I came here to support you after hearing about the unfair treatment Camilla endured, but now it seems you're the one at fault." "Don't hide behind your parents' authority to get your way," Carter said, making Jackson visibly shrink in his seat. Carter then apologized to me and my parents. "I'm truly sorry for the trouble caused by my foolish son. I will have a serious talk with him." "Carter, you're not to blame at all, so please don't apologize," I replied. "Thank you for your kind words, but there's something else I need to say." Turning to Jackson, who was now nervous, I said, "The divorce papers you gave me, I've already filed them. We're no longer married." Jackson and Helen both turned pale. "Why did you file them without my permission?" Jackson demanded, shocked. "You told me I could file them whenever I wanted. Besides, you had already filled out your part and had Helen sign as a witness," I calmly explained. "Oh, that was," Jackson stammered, clearly at a loss for words. Carter, furious, intervened. "Jackson, you used divorce as a threat." He slapped Jackson across the face. Helen was visibly shaken by the confrontation. "I apologize deeply that you had to witness this. You're right to divorce this fool." "On behalf of Jackson, I'm truly sorry for ruining your marriage," Carter said, grasping Jackson by the collar and demanding apologies from both Jackson and Helen before escorting them out of the house. Later, I thanked Carter for his intervention. He ensured that all of Jackson's assets and property were transferred to me without any hassle. Despite my higher income and managing our household, it was a relief to secure everything from our marriage. I later learned that Carter had divorced Helen, clearly disgusted with her actions. The other day, I ran into a colleague from Jackson's old workplace who shared some surprising news. Jackson wasn't performing well at his job and often received harsh criticism from his boss. In defiance, Jackson resigned and changed jobs. This only added to my frustration with him. Instead of taking responsibility for his shortcomings, he blamed others, which likely contributed to his lower pay at the new job. I'm relieved to have left him. I've rented a cozy apartment and enjoy living independently. Work is going smoothly, and I even received a recent raise. Right now, I'm not interested in relationships and prefer focusing on my career. Jackson always cared more about appearances than actual abilities. He maintained a facade at home but failed to improve professionally. Sadly, many husbands use divorce threats as leverage, thinking they're powerful, but it's a big mistake. I hope they realize their folly and find happiness alone. Meanwhile, I'm grateful to have moved on from Jackson and look forward to meeting someone special in the future.
I don't like anything about you, mother, said my eldest son's wife. We want to live with our family alone, so get out. I was shocked to hear these words. It reminded me of when I had to leave my own parents' home. Now, I felt angry at the idea of being kicked out of this house too. Fine, I'll leave, I said, gathering my things to go. This was too much. I was determined never to forgive my eldest son's wife. It was time to put my plan into action. So, my name is Sandra Clark, and I'm 61 years old this year. I'm technically retired, but I'm still lucky enough to have some work. I don't go to the office every day anymore. Sometimes I drop by and attend meetings, but mostly I work from home. My oldest son seems to think I'm not working anymore, which isn't true. I became a widow when I was in my 40s. Right now, I live with my oldest son and his wife. Our family home has been in our family for a long time. It's a bit old and needs some fixing up, but I've always loved it. That's why leaving was hard. I've never had to worry much about money. My late husband's insurance money is still mostly untouched. I've been able to live comfortably without worrying about my future. Even though it might seem like I have an easy life, there are some things that bother me. It's mostly my oldest son's wife, Jessica. She's strong-willed and we often clash. This tension didn't just start recently. It goes back to when she first told us they were getting married. I still remember the outfit she wore when she first came to meet us. She showed up in a tracksuit that looked like something she wore back in high school. She said she wanted to be real with us, but I couldn't help but find it a bit odd. It's not exactly lying, but it felt like she was trying too hard to prove something. She's also very argumentative and smart, which can be challenging. I couldn't understand why my oldest son chose her as his partner. Later, I found out that Jessica was the one who pursued him. She's bold, I'll give her that, and she's attractive too. I think my son, who's a bit naive and sheltered, fell for her charm. Even after they decided to marry, things didn't change much. To put it nicely, she's straightforward. To be blunt, sometimes she lacks common sense in how she acts. I really wanted to object to their marriage, but I reminded myself that it's what my son wanted, so I kept my peace. And now, we're facing the consequences of that decision. After my son and Jessica got married, he insisted that we all live together in our family home. I thought Jessica might disagree, but she was actually okay with the idea. It didn't take long for me to understand why. However, once we started living together, Jessica never lifted a finger to help with household chores. She left everything for me to do, cleaning, laundry, cooking, despite being a full-time housewife herself. She had quit her job when they got married. Even though I work remotely and don't have to go to the office every day, I still have less free time than Jessica. While I'm working on my computer, Jessica would make comments belittling my work, saying I'm just goofing off. At first, I brushed it off to avoid arguments, but it bothered me more and more as it kept happening. Jessica, since you have some free time, could you help out with the cleaning? I asked, noticing her lounging and watching TV. She looked at me with disgust, sighed dramatically, and replied, I don't do housework for your own good, mother. Can't you see that? It's a shame you don't appreciate my consideration. She had this strange theory where she believed if she did the housework, it would be bad for my health. According to her, seniors need to stay active, and doing chores would make me sedentary and possibly lead to dementia. So she was actually doing me a favor by letting me handle everything. Her reasoning was so bizarre it gave me a headache. Then she said something even more shocking. I agreed to live together to keep you from slacking off, mother. She said it with a half smile, leaving me speechless. I regretted agreeing to live together more and more every day. Doing all the housework while being watched by Jessica was nothing but torture. Fed up with the situation, I decided to talk to my eldest son, but it wasn't to complain about Jessica. I decided to move to an apartment where I could live alone. The current house we're in is old and has many stairs, which became difficult for me after I hurt my back last year. I talked to my son about the challenges of living here, and then I moved to an apartment. Even though it felt like Jessica pushed me out, I don't regret leaving. The new apartment is a rental. It might be a bit big for just me, but I got a room big enough for my grandchildren to stay in the future. I had the inside designed just the way I like it, and it felt like my own little castle. But my happiness didn't last long because Jessica started coming over every day and staying until late. The new apartment is really nice, huh? Maybe too big for you, Mom? Jessica said, lounging on the couch. Why don't you come back to your old home and do the chores? It's for your health and longevity. It's unbelievable that Jessica is telling me to go back to the old house and do the chores. During the day, she's so self-centered, it's overwhelming. I've already moved out. You need to take responsibility as the wife. I handle all the chores here, and my health checkups are always fine, Jessica. You don't need to worry about me. But Jessica just turned away, ignoring my words. Ignoring anything inconvenient was her usual tactic. Yet, she kept coming to my apartment every day. Just recently, she said it's too much trouble to go back home and ended up spending the night. My parents' house and this apartment are only about a 15-minute walk apart. It was my eldest son who suggested I live closer to my parents' house because he was concerned. His concern made me a little sad to leave the old house. One day, after I had been out for work-related errands, I came back in the evening to a surprise. To my shock, Jessica had let herself into my apartment. It seemed she used the spare key I had given to my son without my knowledge. Welcome back, she said, lying on the floor in front of the TV without even bothering to get up. Jessica, that spare key is for emergencies only, not for you to come in whenever I'm not home. I felt uneasy knowing she had been in my apartment while I was away. It was the first time I firmly told her so. She seemed surprised, as I usually let things slide quickly. She gave me an annoyed look, but I stood my ground. You really are a difficult mother-in-law. I can't stand that about you. Jessica started yelling at me. I can't stand anything about you, not even this apartment. We're a family, so you should leave. With that, she tried to push me out the door. It seemed Jessica couldn't bear the idea of me living in the apartment. She was upset that they were still in the old house while I was here, calling it unfair. James is paying the rent for this place, right? It wouldn't be strange for us, his family, to live here. That's what it means to live beyond your means. Jessica seemed to think my son was covering the rent for the apartment. This explained why she kept showing up here. In her mind, the apartment should have been for her family to live in. Fine, I'll leave, I said firmly, staring her down. I agreed to move out within 3 days, which seemed to surprise her. Right in front of her, I called the moving company and arranged for them to come in 2 days. As Jessica left feeling satisfied, I watched her go, already planning my next move. True to my word, I moved out. My new place was an apartment specifically designed for seniors. I decided to test it out for 2 weeks. I handed over the keys and lease documents to Jessica, asking for a change in the contract through the real estate agent to the landlord. Luckily, I've known the landlord for a long time, so they were flexible and accommodating, which was a relief. My eldest son was furious with Jessica for kicking me out. He's even considering divorce, but Jessica doesn't seem to care. In fact, she started living alone in my apartment, saying, "Well then, let's live separately." I'm amazed at how bold she is. But in 5 days, Jessica will find out the truth. While I was working from home, my phone started ringing incessantly. It was Jessica calling. I had been expecting this, so I had a recorder ready to record the conversation. I pressed the record button and answered the call. "Excuse me, Mother, what's the deal with the rent for this apartment? Why do I have to pay it?" Jessica started ranting as soon as I picked up the phone. She sounded flustered. "Well, Jessica, you're the current leaseholder, so it's only fair that you pay. Is there a problem?" I purposely kept my tone calm and relaxed to annoy Jessica. She seemed even more agitated but didn't back down. "But didn't James used to pay the rent here? We're not even divorced yet, so shouldn't James pay?" Jessica had told my eldest son about the rent issue and he advised her to call me. The truth was, my son had never paid the rent. In fact, I had been financially supporting him. After retiring, I continued working as a consultant and advisor, earning a good salary. I was actually earning more than my son. I had been secretly helping him out because Jessica tended to spend a lot. "It's just a misunderstanding, Jessica. Originally, I was the one paying the rent for that place. I never made James pay a dime." Jessica seemed shocked and caught off guard by the truth. She quickly said what she wanted to and hung up the phone. Right away, I contacted my eldest son and played him the recorded conversation. "I've been putting up with it too, but I can't take it anymore. You feel the same way, don't you? I knew my son was exhausted from dealing with Jessica's debts. No matter how old he gets, as a parent, I can't help but want to help him out. Some might say I'm too soft, but I think it's just natural as a parent. My son replied quietly, I'll divorce her, I'm tired too. Then follow my lead. I told him my plan and gave him instructions. First, I asked him to take a few days of paid leave starting today. Then, I told him to quietly move out his important belongings without letting Jessica know. We didn't want her to notice any moving trucks, as she might be nearby. I had instructed him to slowly move his things out during the night, keeping it discreet. The important belongings were taken to a single-family home that I had found as our new residence. This way, the plan progressed without Jessica knowing. 3 days later, Jessica called again, sounding even more flustered than before. What? Why are you so worked up? Just like last time. I kept my tone deliberately relaxed as Jessica sounded overly anxious, almost in a state of panic. Mother, our house is up for sale. And I got a call from my parents saying that my belongings have arrived at their house. What does that mean? Jessica explained that her parents had received her belongings, and our old house was now on the market. It seemed my eldest son had followed my instructions. He had sent Jessica's things to her parents' house and put our old house up for sale, leaving it empty. The landlord told me that if I can't pay the rent, I should leave. I thought I should consult with James, and when I got home, there were chains and a padlock on the gate, and I couldn't get in. There's even a for sale sign up. Jessica was almost hysterical. It must have been quite a shock for her to come home to. I've already entered into a sales contract with a realtor. We can't access that house anymore, Jessica had began, ready to express all the pent-up frustration. Firstly, I'm no longer your mother-in-law, right? Yesterday, James should have filed for divorce. You signed it, didn't you? You and I are strangers now. Yesterday, my eldest son had filed for divorce at the city office. It turns out Jessica had signed the papers a while ago. Threatening divorce seemed to be a tactic she often used. My son used to believe that Jessica would change someday. After all, she was the person he loved enough to marry. He felt trapped into giving in to her threats of divorce, he once told me. But it seems my son has finally realized the truth. He signed the divorce papers, which had always been used as leverage, and submitted them. The divorce has been officially processed. You always used to tell James that you could divorce anytime. Are you happy now that things have turned out your way, Jessica? I could sense Jessica holding her breath on the other end of the phone. She wanted to argue back but seemed lost for words. She must have been feeling frustrated. Besides, I'm worried about you. After the divorce, how will you manage to live in that apartment without a job? Moving also costs money, and it's tough. How did you even afford it? Jessica's anger was no longer hidden. She yelled and cursed at me. She had claimed she married my son because of the inheritance he received from my late husband. However, I control all the inheritance and she can't touch a penny of it. Despite marrying to clear debts, she screamed that nothing was going well for her. Of course, I made sure my son listened to this conversation too. If it came to a divorce settlement, I planned to use the recording as evidence. I thought it was the end, so I patiently waited for Jessica to finish her tantrum. She ranted for about 15 minutes without pause. Then, in the end, she started begging me for help, crying. She confessed that she had been disowned by her family. With nowhere else to go, she pleaded for my assistance. It suddenly clicked for me. Something had felt off at the wedding, and now I understood what it was. Jessica had no place to go, no home to return to. Despite feeling a bit sorry for her, I couldn't ignore the consequences of her actions. Apologizing now won't change anything. We're strangers now. There's nothing more to discuss. Good luck with your life from here on, I said before ending the call with Jessica. I felt a sense of relief afterward. It seems Jessica caused trouble at my eldest son's workplace. He told me things escalated to the point of involving the police when he returned home. Jessica, who had been staying at the apartment without paying rent, had her keys changed by the landlord while she was out. Now, she can't even get into her own apartment. She might have tried to contact me or my son, but we had canceled our phones and got new ones with new numbers. I can only imagine the despair she felt when she realized she couldn't reach us no matter how many times she tried. We didn't give her our new address either, so she can't reach us that way. After causing a scene at my son's company, she was issued a restraining order. With no other options, it seems Jessica turned to her disowned family for help. However, When she returned home, she was met with a shocking sight. The luggage I had sent to her family's house was left out in the rain in the backyard, and she wasn't even allowed inside the house. It's likely that the unpaid rent for the apartment had been billed to her parents, adding to their anger. I heard rumors that she's currently staying in an apartment provided by an organization that supports homeless people. Without the ability to spend as she did before, she seemed stressed when I passed her on the street. I was stunned to see how much her hair had turned white and how dry her skin looked. She had changed so much. I hardly recognized Jessica at first. It made me realize just how much a change in living conditions can affect a person. I've started a new life in the house I bought with my late husband's inheritance. It's a duplex, so my son can remarry whenever he wants. For now, he joins me for dinner, but otherwise, he takes care of his own things. I've found that this distance works well for us. The money from selling my parents' home is safe for future needs. I plan to use it for my son and his future wife when they marry. And of course, I'll keep some aside for any future grandchildren. I'm thinking of creating the English garden I've always dreamed of in my new home. On days when I'm not working, I spend time in the garden, caring for the young trees and herbs. This new life, filled with hope, has become my daily routine.